Good morning to all of you. Today, as you all know, that there will be online tests for you to check it out whether how much you are preparing yourself or not. So, on that purpose only, I am going to make a clear overview of some of the concepts, theoretical concepts, which we are being already using it, which we are being using, which we are using in programs. You people have already gone with those concepts and you are knowing those concepts, but in a terminology sense, whether you are remembering it or not, that what we will be going a quick overview over the concepts, so that you people can repolish the things and remember the things already been explained to you sometimes in the in between and other way. So here we go with theoretical portions. Yesterday I got a call, one to call and a request also through the messaging system and the YouTube, that there is some problem with the theory. So keeping apart the string, we are continuing with the theory. I will be going an overview 1-2 classes. It will be required just an overview concept. You can go through the books and other activities to learn extreme of it, but I will try my level best to explain you the things, because theoretical portion to be explained, to be exampled, will be a bit tough job for me here through the online classes, but I will try my best, because there in interaction with the class you can ask different questions, and one type of question I will be thinking of what you people are getting to understand only. But anyhow, with this pandemic situation, COVID situation, nothing can be done except and only in that you people go through this topics for the already been explained. Now those who are in a class 10th, in previous sections this has been taught to you, in the previous class rather it's been taught to you. So let's move on. We will be discussing some of the points and the topics, and we will try to cover the things. Okay, let's move on. Here we go with the terms, and remember, you have to remember the terms. With MCQs will be there, multiple choice questions will be asked to you, and you have to prepare yourself well. You people should go with your books. Here are the briefing what I am as a revision. It's a revision for you people to get through these things already being explained to you in the previous class. Now what is a OOPS? Here the concept comes, OOPS. What is an OOPS? The OOPS means object oriented programming. Object oriented programming. OOO stands for object and object oriented programming. Now what is this? This is a methodology. OOPS is a methodology to organize the data. Now everything revolves around this term data. Everything revolves around the term data, and this is the one of the best concept, because we can make a real object inserted inside a real object. So it's one of the best concept. Now what are its use? There are different use of it. The best use is you have to write, if you have defined the data once, it can be reused. The reusability is the best thing what you need to have. Reusability. The object structure is easy to follow. The object structure is easy to construct and implement. It is easy to implement. Now this is what are the, then comes a question, what are the principles of OOPS? For constructing a program, what I said, construct and implement. For this you need to know the principles of OOPS. Now the principles of OOPS, first one is abstraction. Now what is an abstraction? The act of representing essential features and hiding out the background details. The act of representing essential features. The act of representing the essential features and hiding out the background details. That what is background details. Now what it means? It means what? If you are a student, I must what is compulsory for you? What things I should know for you? That your name, class, section, roll number, and maximum with the admission number, and nothing else. I don't need your parents' name, your what is your blood group, what is your hobby, who is your uncle, who is your auntie, and other things. So many things are related to you. So many things are related. From which background you come from, what your parents do, everything associated with you. But what is essential for me? Essential for me is your name, class, section, and roll number. That is what an abstraction is. Now, here comes a thing, hiding. This hiding is called as a data hiding. Now, what is data hiding? Hiding means nobody should know. Except you, nobody should know about it. That is what a data hiding. Now, it is a process or a method of protecting a data from outside sources. The way or method of protecting data from outside sources. This is what a data hiding. So how you do this data hiding? So now we can by making a data either private or protected. Now when it is a public, when you don't write anything, for example, int a equals to 10. Now this is public. That means it can be used by anyone. But when you add here protected int a, it is protected. Now it can be viewed by your class only, nobody else can do this. Now the second one is encapsulation. Now encapsulation, second one is encapsulation. Now what is a capsule? Have you seen the capsule? It's a binding of our data and methods together. It is nothing else but binding, or you can call it as wrapping up of data and functions together. Now why it is done? Again, it is done together to protect it from the outside sources. To protect from outside sources. Now, hope so everybody likes the chocolates. Now chocolates as a wrapper. Is it? Why do it has a wrapper? To protect it from the dust, flies, and other activities, heat and other activities. That's why they have a wrapper, which protects from the outside sources. Now, what is the third thing? Is inheritance. Now, it is an act of acquiring some or all the properties from an existing class to another class. From one class to another class is called as an inheritance. Is it? Now the property of your grandfather becomes a property of your father, and your father's property becomes your property. This is what an inheritance is generally. Alright. The class which provides the property, property is also known as base class, superclass, or the parent class. And the class which inherits the property is called as the derived class, child class, are you getting it? Or the subclass. This is what inheritance is. This is what the inheritance does. Now, next one is polymorphism. The fourth concept is polymorphism. Now, what is a polymorphism? Now, for example, I am a teacher now. When I am teaching, I am a teacher. For somebody, I will be a class teacher. For my principal, I am a staff. For the management, I am a staff. When I return home, I am a husband, I am a son, I am a father. So I play a different role. This is what is called as the polymorphism. The act or process of defining an object in many forms. The act or process of defining an object in many forms is called as the polymorphism. Now, how does Java attains polymorphism? Now, function overloading, you people have gone through this. Function overloading. With the help of the function overloading, Java attains polymorphism. Is it? The Java attains the polymorphism. This is what these are the principle of OOPS. Now, what are the different types of Java program? There are two different types of Java program. Now, Java program can be classified. Java programs can be classified into two categories. Now, what are these two categories? The one category is called as the standalone program, and the another one is Java applets. The Java applets program. Standalone programs and the Java applet programs. Now, what are the standalone program? In a simple sense, in a very simple sense, the program which you are typing in your system are the standalone programs. It can be CGI or UGI. All right. The standalone programs are the programs which you people are developing in your system, writing, compiling, and executing it. That what is. So what does the standalone program does actually? Now this standalone program uses the resource. What it does? It uses the resource of host computer. In the computer in which you are typing in the computer in which you are compiling. All right. Now how does it how does it works then? It runs. First of all, does it requires any browser? No browser is required. No browser is required. Now how does it runs then? It runs with the help of a JVM and API. It runs with the help of JVM and API. Now what is JVM? Java Virtual Machine, and API is the application program interface. It is an application program interface. So what is the Java applets now? Now this can be downloaded. This can be downloaded. For this you need to, for executing these programs, you need to have a browser. All right. Without a browser you cannot simply run the applets. We need browsers to run. Now what are the browsers? So you can have a Netscape, Navigator, WebSphere, Tomcat. Even though you can use this Internet Explorer, but the Internet Explorer with a higher version of it, higher version, more than 5.1 version, then only you can use this applets. Now they are get installed. What is the applets? You need a browser. They get installed and they use the resource. They can use the resource of a host as well as the server side. They are the server side as well as the client side programs. All right. Now since the JVM is there, so we need to move on with the bytecodes. So first of all we need to know about the Java compilation. Now when you compile a Java programs, when we compile a Java programs, Java compilation, compilation, Java compilation. On compiling a Java program, it produces a bytecodes. It produces what? On compilation of source code, it produces bytecode. Remember this. On compilation only bytecodes are produced. Now what are these bytecodes? Now these are the intermediate codes. These are the intermediate codes which helps to run on the different platform. These intermediate codes help to run on different platform. Therefore, Java is a platform independent. These bytecodes are required to run. If the bytecodes is there, then it can run on a different platforms. All right. And so this bytecode, now these bytecodes must be get executed or interpreted. So JVM interprets the bytecode. JVM interprets the reads and executes the bytecode. All right. This is what JVM and the bytecode it is. The JVM and the bytecode is there. All right. So one more thing. Now in a Java, a Unicode format is there. In a Java, everything is in a Unicode format. What is an Unicode format? Unicode format. Unicode. Uni means one code format. Java requires 2 bytes to store characters and strings. It requires 2 bytes to store everything. Whatever is there, it requires 2 bytes to store and represent the characters. Let it whatever the character be. So it requires 2 bytes to store them. Now moving on to the another portion of it. What are tokens? Is it? Now we will move on with the tokens and other things. So we move on with the Java character set. So Unicode format was there. So we will be moving on with the Java character set. Now Java character set. What is a Java character set? Now these are the valid set of characters. These are the valid set of characters which can be understood by the Java compiler. Alright. These are the valid set of the characters which can be understood by the compiler. That means again a Unicode format. That is 2 bytes required for storing it. Now there is a 65,000 character set, a set of 65,000 character set. Out of which 35,000 is already in use. There still 30,000 is still remaining vacant in the Java. Is it? So this is what a Java character set. Now we will be moving on with the tokens. So what are the tokens? What are the tokens in Java? These are the smallest individual entity. These are the smallest individual entities used. These are the smallest individual entities used in a program. Now what are they? So first one is the keywords. This is known to you. You people are using the keywords. Now you use identifiers. Already known to you. Keywords, identifiers, literals, separators, and operators. Alright. Thank you.